Attention all F1 fans, Daniel Ricciardo is back on the grid. The Honey Badger will be driving for Alpha Tauri for the rest of the season. This shocking move has rocked the world of Formula 1. So let's take a look at this blockbuster move, what it means for his chances of the coveted Red Bull seat, as well as whether the signing was a smart move. Strap in as we take a look at the huge Daniel Ricciardo news. Usually, the weeks in between races tend to be pretty quiet, with not a whole lot happening outside of race weekends at the moment. Well, that changed when Red Bull broke the internet by announcing that Daniel Ricciardo would drive for Alpha Tauri for the rest of the season, starting in Hungary. Ricciardo will return to Formula 1 after less than a year away from the sport. The former McLaren driver will return to the team where he made his Formula 1 debut, even though it has a different name now. It is a pretty shocking move for a number of reasons. Red Bull have shown in the past that they're ruthless with their forced seats in the sport, but making this move mid-season is shocking. It did seem like the team were preparing Ricciardo for a return to the sport, but the timing has come as a shock to many. The move has a huge number of different interesting points, with even the language used to announce the move proving strange. Red Bull's reserve driver is going on loan to Alpha Tauri, like he's a Premier League footballer. It certainly seems like the move is only planned to be for the rest of this season, with Ricciardo returning to Red Bull at the end of the year. The language used by the team gives an idea of how Red Bull view the move, and it opens up a lot of possibilities for next season. Alpha Tauri team boss Franz Tost has spoken about the move. Tost said, "I'm very pleased to welcome Daniel back into the team. There's no doubt about his driving skills, and he already knows many of us, so his integration will be easy and straightforward. The team will also profit a lot from his experience, as he is an 8-time Formula 1 Grand Prix winner." It seems the team are thrilled to be welcoming Daniel back, although not everyone will be as pleased about the move as Tost is. As with any driver move like this, there is one man on the wrong side of it. After 10 races of his Formula 1 career, former Formula 2 and Formula E champion has gotten the boot from Red Bull. He is removed from his Alpha Tauri seat, having failed to score a point so far this season. It seems an incredibly harsh move. Being a rookie is not easy in Formula 1, and there is a good argument to be made that Alpha Tauri have the worst car on the grid at the moment. His fellow rookie Logan Sargent also has not scored any points, and it does not seem likely that Williams are going to move on anytime soon. Compared to his teammate, the 28-year-old has struggled this season, but Tsunoda only has 2 points so far this year, so Nyck not scoring a point yet is not a ridiculous underperformance. Let's not forget that De Vries has been seen as an exciting F1 prospect for the last 4 years, mainly thanks to winning Formula 2 in 2019. He should have probably gotten more than just 10 races in the slowest car on the grid to show his worth. But to get Ricciardo back in the car is a good move, especially with the Aussie impressing in a Formula 1 car just a few days ago. This season, Ricciardo has been the reserve driver for Red Bull, and he got a chance to show his skills in a Formula 1 car earlier this week. He was chosen to be the driver for Pirelli's tyre test at Silverstone, just a few days after the British Grand Prix. While the reports are not yet confirmed, Ricciardo supposedly impressed massively in that test, with his fastest time in the test being good enough for second on the grid at the British Grand Prix. The Australian was just 0.7 seconds off Max Verstappen's time, that was enough for pole position, in the same car as well. Now, of course, this does not mean that Ricciardo is still one of the fastest drivers on the grid. There are very often faster tyre compounds available during tyre tests, and the track was in a much better condition than it was in qualifying. He was so impressive that Red Bull put him back in the Alpha Tauri seat later that day. Ricciardo showed that he could get the best out of the 2023 machinery, and impressed Red Bull enough to get a drive straight away. Other than a little spin, it seems like Ricciardo was pretty much perfect in the tyre test. Interestingly, the day before he was announced as Alpha Tauri's new driver, Ricciardo gave an interview about how he would be open to taking the Alpha Tauri seat if it gave him a shot at claiming the Red Bull seat he's looking for. In the interview, Ricciardo said, "Obviously I lost my seat, and it was like my career is over type thing. And now, 6 months later, I'm getting to drive the best car. Even that alone, I'm just taking it all in my stride. I'm very appreciative and excited. I know I'll be watched. I know it's not just, hey man, go and do some laps for us." The former McLaren driver added, "I'm remaining open-minded. If it's like, this is you, and you signing a 3-year deal, and that's the only place you're going to be, then no, that's maybe not the deal I would look for. But if there's the possibility to obviously be at Red Bull, the truth is, this is where I want to be. I'm not going to weave my way around it. He summed it up pretty clearly saying, "I'd love to get back on the grid next year." Put it simply, I think the move is a great one for Ricciardo. Daniel Ricciardo's stock can't really go down very much with some time back in the sport, but this is only going to be a good move if people have the right expectations of the Aussie for the rest of the season. Alpha Tauri have what seems to be the slowest car on the grid, so you can't expect him to be in the points every race. Yuki Tsunoda has been very impressive in the Alpha Tauri car, but he only has 2 points so far this season. Ricciardo won't consistently be in the points. But as long as he can perform near to the level that Tsunoda has found, then his stock can only rise in the sport. Also, Ricciardo has made it clear in the past that he would only take a seat towards the back of the grid if it gave him a path to being at the front. Red Bull must have given Ricciardo some sort of assurances that being back on the grid could be his move into the Red Bull seat that he's looking for. So long as Red Bull really are giving Ricciardo a chance at getting back into the Red Bull seat, it seems like a great move for him. It might not seem obvious, but this move actually has a massive impact on Red Bull's current driver Sergio Perez. Despite starting the season very well, Checo only has 1 podium in the last 5 races and has missed Q3 in 4 of the last 5 qualifyings before the Hungarian Grand Prix. There was already a lot of pressure on Perez, but it seems like the pressure has ramped up even more, with Ricciardo being back on the grid. Red Bull may have the fastest car on the grid, but they're not going to continue allowing Perez to be outside of the podium. As Red Bull often like to remind Formula 1 fans, a lot can change throughout the season. This pace advantage they have at the moment is not guaranteed to continue, and so the points that Perez is missing out on could add up at the end of the season. So while the Mexican driver's seat is safe for the remainder of the season, it is getting increasingly likely that he's going to be replaced for 2024. Checo does have a contract with Red Bull for next season, but we've seen how ruthless Red Bull can be when they want to get rid of an underperforming driver. Getting rid of Nyck de Vries is a brave move from the Alpha Tauri team, particularly seeing his replacement only wants to be with Alpha Tauri for the remainder of the current season, so he can get back into the Red Bull seat. Alpha Tauri will need someone new partnering Yuki Tsunoda in the car next year, after letting go of the former Formula 2 and Formula E champion. Red Bull Junior Liam Lawson seems the most likely for that seat. Lawson came 3rd in F2 last year and is now collecting wins in Super Formula Championship. The 21-year-old beat Williams rookie Logan Sargent in Formula 2 last year and is showing a lot of impressive early signs. Japanese driver Ayumu Uwasa is also a great candidate, currently 3rd in Formula 2 and is part of the Red Bull Junior team. We have to kind of assume that this is a good move for Ricciardo, because he said he did not want to move to Alpha Tauri unless there was a pathway back to Red Bull. What Red Bull must have said is that as long as Ricciardo drives well and Checo continues to struggle, there is a real chance he could be back in the Red Bull seat. With Alpha Tauri getting a former race winner, everyone is a winner with this move. Well, except for Nyck de Vries, of course. But what do you think about Daniel Ricciardo returning to Alpha Tauri? Is it the right move for him and Alpha Tauri? Do you think this is Ricciardo's path to getting back into the Red Bull team? Why not put your thoughts in the comments down below? While you're down there, why not hit the like button and subscribe? Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.